So now we're going to open a project in WebStorm. We've learned all about creating a folder in which we want to keep our code, then initializing that folder as a Git repository, and then connecting that local Git repository to a remote master origin master GitHub Git repository. So to connect those two, we've learned all of that. So now on our computer, we should have a folder, which is where we're going to keep all of our code that's initialized as a Git repository. And all we're going to do is we're going to open that folder in WebStorm and start working. So when you first start WebStorm, this is what you see, right? And you have create new project or open. We've already gone through configuring WebStorm and setting the plugins and settings and everything like that. So now all we have to do is open that folder, which has been initialized as a Git repository, and start working. All right, if you're working in Atom, or God forbid, if you're working in Sublime, or even worse, Dreamweaver, then you'll have to figure this out on your own. And that's just the nature of the beast. I really encourage you, because I can't teach this course with like 4 IDEs and show you each way. That'd just be unwieldy. So I really recommend that you use WebStorm for this course, particularly if you're just getting started. So it's worth the investment, $30 or whatever, less, 50% or 20% or whatever discount you could get through them, or free if you're a student. Use WebStorm. Okay, that's my strong recommendation. All right, so now I'm just going to click open, and I'm going to navigate to where I have my folder that I want to work in. That's also, my Git. It's a Git repository. I've initialized it as a Git repository, and I'm using HTML CSS Bootcamp. So I'm going to click OK. And if you don't see this directory structure over on the right, then just click that little project button right there. If you don't see that, down here on the bottom left, you have this, and you could click project, and that brings that up, right? I could click it again, and it brings that bar up. So that little button right down there is kind of like a good button to know about. But once you have your directory structure up here, if you're just getting started, you should just see this folder. If you have a few files in there, you'll see the files. These are the files I'm creating for this course. I'm numbering them in sequential order. So as we go through, they just will keep building. And now that this is open, we're ready to get started. By the way, if you see any warning or any kind of notification from WebStorm about configuring WebStorm to use Git or version control software, WebStorm has this functionality that it'll help you with all of your commits and all of your pushing, all that stuff. And that's something which I will teach you right at the end of this course. Because until then, I want you using the terminal. And but then at the end of the course, I will show you how to configure WebStorm, that you just push a button and it commits and does all your pushing for you. You just push a button, type in your little commit message, and it pushes it all up for you. I'll show you how to configure that way later in the course. For now, we're just going to be using the terminal for all of our commits and pushes. So just ignore that, just close it, just hit the little X if you see a little message from WebStorm saying, hey, this is a Git repo, the folder you just opened. Do you want to configure WebStorm to do all of your pushing and committing and all that? Just close that and say no, because you're going to use the terminal, and I'll show you how to configure that later. All right, so that's getting WebStorm open and opening the folder where you're going to keep your code.